Since we are moving into another year, another decade even, we're beginning to look to the future of gaming. And why not? There have been a lot of new game announcements made over the last year, most recently at the Game Awards. And the future of the industry truly has never looked brighter. With a whole new generation of consoles and a slew of new games on the horizon, it's about time that we break down the top 10 most anticipated games of 2020. During their most recent Indie World livestream, Nintendo announced that a sequel to AXIOM VERGE, a Metroid-like indie platformer released back in 2015, was not only in the works, but set to release in the fall of next year. The much anticipated sequel is set to expand on the beloved universe, and will even introduce new characters and abilities. Of course, the gameplay is sure to also receive a bit of an upgrade, and what's not to love about that? Valve recently announced that they're looking to bring a whole new game to the series, Half-Life ALYX, in March 2020. Half-Life ALYX is set to take place between the events of the first and second title, and is a story of survival against an alien race known as the Combine. Despite the series being developed by Valve from the beginning, this marks the first VR title in the series. As you can imagine, Half-Life fans worldwide are more than a little curious to see how the series will look in virtual reality. If the Half-Life ALYX announcement trailer is an indicator, it looks like we're in for a real treat. And as anyone who's a fan of VR will admit, there's always room for a good first-person shooter in the virtual reality scene. There's no denying that Halo 5 Guardians was a bit of a letdown for a lot of fans, so Halo Infinite is a chance for the series to redeem itself. And it looks like 343 Industries is doing just that, bringing the series back to its roots with the triumphant return of the beloved Master Chief. Although we haven't received a ton of details about the game so far, we do have a vague release window set for next year, and it's all but confirmed that Halo Infinite will be a launch title for the Xbox Series X. If the game footage we've seen to date is anything to go by, the graphics are fantastic and the game is shaping up to be super slick. Fingers crossed we'll get to see a whole lot more of Halo Infinite in the coming months. Gods and Monsters is a brand new open world action-adventure game from Ubisoft that's full of epic monster battles, quests, and puzzles, tied together with its charming art design. It's a story that's set to captivate you from the very beginning, one that pits you against various mythological monsters in a battle to save the Greek gods. If you love Greek mythology, this is definitely a game to watch out for. In all honesty, it shouldn't take too much convincing to add this one to your must-buy list for 2020. Ancient Japan, The Last Surviving Samurai. An undertaking to fight for Japan's freedom as a ghost. There's no doubt that Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima is incredibly interesting. In fact, during the Game Awards, we got to see a brand new and very intense trailer for the game that looked every bit as awesome as what we've been hoping for. Though the details might be a little sparse considering its release in summer 2020, everything from the art style and music to the graphics and combat look top notch. And really, how can you not be excited about diving into a brand new samurai adventure? Marvel's Avengers might not have been what everyone was expecting at first. However, despite the heroes taking their likeness from the comics, there is a lot to get excited about here. And if it's anything like Insomniac's Spider-Man, there's even more reason to celebrate. Crystal Dynamics is setting the bar very high and have confirmed that Marvel's Avengers is going to feature a story completely disconnected from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And though it's going to focus on the 5 main Avengers we've come to love, it will have cameos from other superheroes to look forward to. Add that to the fluid combat, sleek graphics, and regular content updates following launch, and we have every reason to be absolutely pumped about this new Marvel adventure. Ubisoft is working on what's being touted as their most ambitious title to date, and is taking the Watch Dogs franchise to London in a post-Brexit dystopia. If you thought the idea of hacking electronics as one protagonist was cool, you'd better hold on to your hat, because in Watch Dogs Legion, you'll be able to play as any character. That's right, you'll be able to recruit any character in the game to your resistance movement to take back the city. And as a result, the overarching story will ebb and flow based on your decisions and who you play the game as. Considering just how complex the game is set to be, if Ubisoft can pull it all off, Watch Dogs Legion will be incredible. You'd have to be living in an alternate universe not to be hyped about this one, set for release sometime next year. If you've watched the announcement trailer for 12 minutes, you know exactly why this game won the award as the best indie game of E3 2019, and why it makes the list here. It's intense, heart-wrenching, and unique. What's supposed to be a romantic evening for a man and his wife has turned into a nightmare complete with murder and the police in this interactive thriller. The worst part? You're stuck in a 12-minute time loop. You must find a way to break the cycle. Your survival, as well as that of your wife's, depends on it. Trust us, even if this isn't your typical game, it's one to watch in 2020. The Last of Us was released back in 2013 and was hugely successful both amongst critics and gamers alike. In fact, it managed to be extremely popular on not one, but two different console generations. When it was announced at the PlayStation Experience in 2016 that a sequel was in development, the resounding hell yes from fans could be heard around the world. Everything we've seen so far has looked amazing, and it's certainly shaping up to be a story we'll never forget. Because let's face it, who doesn't want to know more about Ellie, Joel, and everyone else involved? In spite of the recent delay of The Last of Us Part 2 to May 2019, fans seem even more excited for its release. Though some might only remember being excited about this one for quite a while, it was actually announced over 7 years ago back in 2012, with the first teaser trailer arriving in early 2013. Despite the long wait between the original announcement and its upcoming release on April 16, 2020, the anticipation for Cyberpunk 2077 has only continued to build. Of course, that's likely due to the small yet exciting tidbits of information that have been released every so often in recent months, as well as the developers behind the entire project, CD Projekt Red. Well, that and the fact that it has an incredibly interesting game design and setting, as well as what's set to be a fantastic soundtrack. Oh, and here's the editor's pick.